So a lot of people ask, what is the difference between permaculture and agriculture? Well, agriculture is such a huge term that in fact, permaculture, when we're talking about the farming side of permaculture, would fit underneath it. But let's make a bit more of a specific comparison. So if we took a monoculture, large field, use of chemicals, use of mechanization, that kind of farming is not sustainable, okay? Because it requires huge energy inputs. It requires a lot of, we just said chemicals, which are very damaging to the soil, to the animals, to the waterways. There's a huge pollution problem from that kind of farming. Comparative to a permaculture system, a garden, a farm, in this case, we eliminate the need for chemicals. We can actually, the chemicals used here are for doing things like, killing insects. Well, here we provide habitat so that we have sufficient predator species of the pest species so we don't get plague problems. So this is how we get plagues. There's no habitat, there's no predators, so a pest comes along, it doesn't have anyone taking it down, so then we're having to use chemicals to forcibly bring down the population. On this side, you're going to get some pests, sure, okay, but there's sufficient habitat there so that a bird sitting in a tree, oh, there's my lunch, pop down, eats your lunch. So the population of a pest never goes up to the significance of a plague because we've got a natural system. So chemicals on this side, if we think about fertilizer, so fertilizer is not a natural fertilizer, it's made from the petrochemical industry again. Also it's an explosive, comes from the Second World War. First World War, Second World War. On this side, if we think about fertilizers, we understand that we can use things like microbes to actually increase the fertility of the soil. We can use compost, we can make compost, we can encourage the cycling of animal waste into our systems through composting to then create huge fertility for our soils. This kind of fertility is very high in nutrient density. This kind of fertility is very limited in nutrient density because it's really based on 3 or 4 elements typically. Over here we can have up to 90 different elements that are available. So you think about the kind of plants that come from this system are highly nutritious plants. The ones that come from here are basically potentially malnutrition plants. And we think about we as consumers, what are we consuming? Are we consuming great healthy food so then we become healthy individuals, or are we consuming food that is low in nutrient density, therefore our bodies are basically malnutritioned and then we are more likely to become ill, etc. Okay, so we're seeing a lot of deficiencies from this kind of farming. Broccoli that doesn't have particularly any of the qualities that make it a healthy food. If you buy a broccoli from a local farmer who is growing things organically without the use of chemicals, that's going to be proper broccoli. That's going to have all the great benefits of eating broccoli. This one you're buying from the supermarket that's mass produced in a chemical environment, no, it's not broccoli that I would consider it. So we've got to be aware of what's going on. So that's the major differences between what is a permaculture system and what is a modern monoculture style system.